Hey, I am so excited about today because we get to continue with our fiction work and we get to dive into theme. Now, we know that nonfiction stories have main ideas. Similarly, fiction stories have themes. Okay, so here's our goal. Our goal is that we will be able to examine the main character's actions in order to determine the story's theme or lesson. So you might be thinking, what is a theme? Well, a theme is a message or lesson the author wants you to learn from the story, okay? But there's a couple things. A theme must apply to all readers, and it can't be too specific. There can be multiple themes in a story or passage. All right, so let's think to ourselves. When I read a fiction article or a fiction book or a fiction short story, I ask myself, where is it happening? What does the character want? Who are my characters? What is the problem? How do they solve it? And what can they learn? When we are looking at the theme, we're looking at just a couple of those. We need to think to ourselves, well, what is the character's problem? How do they respond to it? How does the passage end? That will get us to our theme. Okay, so we're going to read this short story together called Pirate Slide Pitfall. This is a story that has a theme or a lesson at the end. I'm a big fan of water slides. Big slides, small slides, fast slides, slow slides. As long as there is cool water and a winding down ride down, I am game to try any of them. One fateful day in 2004, I had the opportunity to visit a water park in northern Michigan called Michigan's Adventure. It is a small amusement park with both roller coasters and full scale water park. My friends, Caitlin and Greg, and I couldn't wait to get to the cool water as the hot Michigan sun made us sweat. We rode every ride they had, the snake pit, the tidal wave, the mine shaft, and so many more. We were determined to ride every single slide they had in the park. As we explored, we came across a small park meant for small children. They had a full pirate ship with a short slide to get back to the bottom. This was one of the slides we hadn't ridden yet, and I wanted to go really badly. But there was a sign that said for children 5 and under only. Clearly, we weren't allowed. Greg laughed and said, nobody is even here. There aren't any lifeguards right now. Nobody will even know. Convinced, I followed him to the pirate ship and we ran around having the time of our lives. Just as I was about to leave, I decided to take one more trip down the pirate slide. Unfortunately, I was swinging a little too fast and caught my pinky toe on the edge, snapping it and feeling pain radiate up my foot. I screamed as I slid down the slide and reached the bottom, only to realize my foot was swelling and turning purple. A lifeguard heard me scream and ran over to find out what was happening. Seeing my foot, he took me to the first aid room, and I wasn't allowed to go on any more rides for the rest of the trip. Okay, so let's think to ourselves. What problem is the character facing? Well, I noticed the character wanted to go on all the rides, but there was one slide they hadn't ridden yet. Okay, so how does the character respond to their problem? Well, they said there's nobody even here to see us. We can go, even though they weren't what? They weren't allowed. Now we have to ask ourselves, how does the passage end? Well, did it turn out well? No. Not only did she break her pinky toe, but the lifeguard heard her scream, and because she broke her foot, she wasn't allowed to go on any more rides for the rest of the trip. Knowing these three things, what lesson do you think we can learn from the passage? Why don't you put that lesson in the chat? What do you think we can learn from this passage? As you type it in the chat, I want you to be thinking, a theme has to apply to everyone, not just the characters in the story. And it has to be broad, okay? It has to be something that we could apply to all walks of life. You should be able to apply this theme at the grocery store, in your home, at school. Think to yourself, what lesson do you think our character learned? Put it in the chat. Do not send until I say theme.